thanks to the support as a channel member, Scottman. Very simple to-do list today. We've got a trophy to win in the shape of the Community Shield. We've still got £50 million to spend and a Premier League title to defend. And we might even get round to our first Champions League game. I'm not actually quite sure how early they appear in the schedule. That might be Monday's episode. We'll see when they appear. Because strangely, the Champions League hasn't really come up yet. My plan is get us to the end of the window, certainly win the Community Shield against Man City, and then we'll either show one of these league games around the end of the window so we can see what business we did, or if we've got a Champions League game very close to that, we might do our first Champions League game rather than a Premier League game. We will see. But if you missed the transfer video yesterday, you've missed that our team is already looking a little bit different. We've got a new left-hand side, new left-back, Yannick Londo, not necessarily coming in to start week in, week out. He's there to compete with Hincapié, who is now 35 years old and played pretty much every game for us last season. So Londo's going to play in the Community Shield. And then we've also got Fer, who has come in to be a left winger who's going to kind of compete with Jude McRobbie, who McRobbie's also going to compete with McAdams. McRobbie, of course, winner of the most assists in the Premier League last season, but he's got to fight for his place again, just like everybody else has. Chelsea and Manchester United both interested in him, so we're certainly not writing McRobbie off. But for today, we want to have a look at new boy Fer. And we're not even playing Rob Harley today because we want to look at new combinations. We want to try Kelly and Elatsi together, as they played together at the end of last season and looked pretty good. So it could be that Harley has to force his way back into the team as well. As far as transfers go, I think we probably still need a central midfielder and maybe a bit more strength in depth at centre-back, especially if we're going to be using Roivers in other areas. He's playing right-back today in the Community Shield, just because at right-back, we don't have a huge amount of option beyond Angeli. We don't really have a backup right-back, so we need to see how Roivers plays there, or maybe how Londo plays there, or we're going to have to go out and buy a right-back. So we're doing some experiments. We need a defender of some flavour, I think. So this is the team for the Community Shield. It's Restes in goal, who has signed a new 2-year contract. So I don't think we're going to be bringing in a goalkeeper over the top of him. I think that's off the agenda for this summer. But the back four is Londo, Fimbres, Castro and Roivers. Landu and Nielsen in midfield. Fer on the left, McAdams on the right, and then Kelly and Elatsi together up front. This is probably the only Community Shield match I'll show you in the entire series, unless we lose it. I obviously want to see us win it. So we'll win it once and then we'll never worry about it again. And it'll probably just become something that is included in transfer specials. That's usually how we do it. I cannot believe Erling Haaland is still going and still starting for Manchester City. He must be older than I am in real life at this point, but they're still playing him week in, week out. They've also had 10 plus years of that as a fullback combination, Lewis and O'Reilly, who presumably, if they've been starting for Man City for 10 plus years, they've probably been England's fullback partnerships for as long as anyone can remember as well. Do you call it a partnership with the two fullbacks? They don't ever get super close to each other on the pitch, but every time I play Man City, those two seem to be in the team. They've got O'Reilly as the inverted wing-back and Rico Lewis as the inverted full-back, which is an interesting one, because in my mind, they both kind of want to be midfielders, but what do I know? I'm just a handsome entertainer. Fer picking it up with back to goal there, but didn't do enough with it to justify us seeing a highlight play out. But the left-hand side is certainly where we're most interested in what's going on today. Landu is the midfielder whose spot is under threat. Kelly, the left side of the attack, is the guy most likely to lose his place to Harley, like he did last season. Obviously, Londo, and see, this is why we need to get rid of Landu. We can't have Landu and Londo. That's going to confuse me. But Londo and Fer, obviously the new boys. Even on the left side of the back four, Fimbres is probably going to be fighting for his place with Roivers this season, or with Roivers and Castro. So arguably the whole of the left-hand side, even Restes' left hand, the whole of the left-hand side is being judged. The right-hand side is pretty close to nailed on. Obviously, Angeli will be in at right-back, and then it'll be at least one of Castro and Roivers at centre-back, if not both of them. But the left-hand side definitely needs closer inspection than the right-hand side. and inspect them we shall. But there is Londo, one of the men under inspection. It's good that we're coming down this left-hand side to give me a chance to look at them all. Kelly has had that kind of possession twice and lost the ball twice. I don't think he can quite do the things in that deep lying forward role that Rob Harley can do, and I don't want to change his role to one that suits him more, because I like the way the team plays with a deep lying forward in that role. So I'm loading the deck in favour of Harley coming back in, I think. But Kelly was always signed to be the more attacking of two strikers anyway. So the argument could potentially be bring in somebody else who can play the Rob Harley role really naturally, which I guess could have been one of the attacking midfielders that we've sold. We've sold Carstens and Koklov. They've both left the club because we've gone all in on playing this two-striker system, which means we don't really have someone else who can slot into that number 10 role that Harley does so comfortably. Right, let's jump in here, and I think we are gonna bring Harley on for the second half, and that's probably the only change we make for now. Is Angeli on the bench? No, I think he had a cold. I think that's why he's not involved. Who are you? Jada Spearing. You might get some game time as the game goes on. Gurgle might get some game time as a potential right back for us. He's a very different kind of right back. We've also got Cameron Fairhurst, who's come through our youth setup. He's 20, but he can pretty much only play as an attacking midfielder. So he probably needs to learn to play as a striker and become that number 10 who competes with Harley, because he's not going to get in the team as an attacking midfielder because we're not using one. And as we learned with Carstens last year, pretty hard to retrain an attacking midfielder into a defensive midfielder. It's quite a different role, and Carstens really didn't adapt to it. So because of that, we're never going to try it again with anyone else ever. Plus, we've got the other homegrown boy, Grimmer, who's a natural defensive midfielder, so we don't need to force the guy who's not natural there to learn it. We can try and slot him in somewhere else. And there'll be occasions where we probably do want to bring him on to play as an attacking midfielder. I'm not writing off ever using an attacking midfielder again, because Harley could do that role, quite apart from anything else. We could have Harley drop even deeper and potentially go into that position. I just don't think we need an expensive specialist for that position when we're not going to be using it as our primary tactic. What we do need to do is go attacking and try and get back into this game, because we've not really looked like scoring a goal, which is troublesome, because obviously we were very good last season, so I am going to demand more. I can't believe this guy at his age is still playing as well as he is. He is a robot. People jokingly call him a robot. He legitimately might be one. Right, it's the Community Shield. I think we're going to make a couple of early-ish changes. So McAdams is going to come off for Gurgle. We don't have McRobbie on the bench today because I think he had a bit of a knock as well. Londo can come off for Hincapié just so that he learns that his position is still very much in the mix. And I would have liked to have brought Angeli on and moved Roivers over, but as he's not available, we don't really have the option to. But it gives McRobbie the chance to... It's not McRobbie who came on, it's Gurgle. I was going to say it would give McRobbie the chance to nail himself down as the starter, but he's not in the team to do it. So it doesn't do that at all. But it's our first proper chance to have a look at Gurgle, who we signed a couple of years ago. He's been out on a few loans. And is he ready to be in the first team mix? We might be finding out today, boys and girls. Although, logically, I suppose we stick him at right back. He's wearing the number 2. We might drop Harley out onto the right wing, drop Gurgle back and take off Fimbres, who's on a yellow card and not having a very good game. So then Roivers can move across to centre back. We'll give Gurgle 5 more minutes on the right wing, and then we're going to move him back, I think, and do that change. We could potentially even bring Fairhurst on if we move Harley out wide. Have we got another striker on the bench? Ben Sivenga could come on to play up front, or Fairhurst could come on as the number 10. I'd quite like to get Grimmer some game time as well. I think he's also down on the bench. All right. We'll let this highlight play out, and then we'll do some more fiddling. We're basically using this the way it should be used, as a friendly. We're looking at some youngsters. We're trying a few combinations. It's not really working. So how many stoppages? Oh, is there no limit on stoppages? So we'll make 2 changes now. So we are going to take off Fimbres. We're going to move Gurgle back there. And we're going to bring on Fairhurst. And we're going to pop him in there. Oh, there's going to be lots of shuffling around here. I think that's what I was aiming for. So Fairhurst gets to come on there. And then in midfield, we're going to bring on Grimmer. Who's Hollis? Nah, he's useless. So the other guy who I'd like to bring on, but we'll give Ilatzi. We'll give Ilatzi 10 minutes up front on his own, and then Bensivenga can come on for him if we've got no injuries. And Spearing and Hollis can sit it out because they're not really good enough anyway. They're just down there because we've got a couple of guys who weren't fully fit and we didn't need to risk them. Let's go attacking. We were already supposed to be attacking, but it'd be interesting to see how Fairhurst and Grimmer get on in particular, and also Gurgle at right back. I think they're the key things that could have an impact on thinking as we go into the season, because obviously with Fairhurst and Grimmer, they're homegrown at club players, and that's exactly what we need looking ahead to the Champions League, because we lost Tyjon and Higgins and they basically replaced them as homegrown at club players, which is very handy. Right, Hincapié to Roivers. Castro, it was a very, very laissez-faire pass to Castro. Now Rob Harley out on the wing. We all know he's not completely comfortable out there, but he'll do his bit. Grimmer, nice pass from him over to Hincapié, who's having to play a little bit more attacking than he would maybe want to in this system. But we have forced a corner, and we have got the big boys on. Castro and Roivers are both on, but nothing happens from either of them. And then for the final change, Ilatzi can come off for Bensivenga. And he can finally get an opportunity to play up front, because usually when I bring him on, it's on the left-hand side. But a rare opportunity for him to play in his actual position at Wembley against quite a good team. So this 11 we've got on the pitch now, I suspect it will be the only time all season this 11 plays together, because even in something like the Carabao Cup, we might do most of the outfield stuff, but we wouldn't have Restes involved. We wouldn't have Castro and Roivers together at the back in the Carabao Cup. So this is very much an experimental, one day only Community Shield deal, which hasn't really worked. So if nothing else, we've learned some important things. Some of these fringe players are still quite far away from being ready, but I guess we need to give them time. No one's looked awful, but no one's really looked like scoring either. Although Fairhurst is in there and forces the save from the City keeper, and we do now have a corner. There's 7 minutes been added on here, and Nielsen is actually going to get to take the corner in a highlight, so we might be about to do something with it. Corner aimed at the far post where Roivers was lurking, but Erling Plummin Haaland, who's going to play the full 97 minutes at 40 years old or whatever he is. It's ridiculous. Doesn't he have a hobby that he could go and do now? Has he not made enough money? Just go and paint in the woods or something. You don't need to still be ruining my day at 35 years old. I need to see how old he is. We've been absolutely battered here today. Haaland is invisible. We'll find out after the match. Haaland is still dominating players half his age. Very upsetting. Right, Gurgle. Forward to Harley on the right-hand side, who plays it back to Nielsen. No urgency at all from any of them. That's a lovely ball from Grimmer to Bensivenga. Tell you what, Grimmer looked all right there, didn't he? Bensivenga, unfortunately, not able to keep himself onside, but it was good vision and a good pass from Grimmer, which is promising. Yeah, we don't want to see this. We'll save seeing that trophy lift for when we actually win it. But where is he? Can we look at him? We can't look at him from there either. I want to see how old Erling Haaland is, and then we can get back to doing transfers and things. Yeah, Man City. Where is he? Erling Haaland, who is now 37 years old. And still absurd. It's just not necessary. Not earning as much money as you would think. That's probably less than he earns in real life. Right, let's go spend our 50 million. I don't know if I've learned what we need there. I think we probably still need the same things we needed before. A central midfielder, a defender of some flavour, and then we'll see where we are, maybe. Well, the transfer deadline has passed. We didn't sign anybody. We've had that problem you get sometimes where the players we could afford or who wanted to come to us didn't want to come to us, and the ones who did want to come to us weren't good enough. So we need to keep moving up our reputation despite being Premier League winners. It's a little bit frustrating. We'll try again in January. But this is what I was talking about a couple of episodes ago about why I wasn't that concerned about losing Higgins and Tyjon, because we've got a number of players now who don't need to be registered in our Champions League squad because they're under 21 and have been here for 2 years. It also means these are the players who are going to tick over to become homegrown at club as well. So Gaspar Castro, Matthew Angeli, and then a couple of rascals. But importantly, those two, we've obviously got Harley, who's homegrown at club. We've got a couple of other homegrown in nation, like Mr. Tickle and McRobbie, and our new backup goalkeeper that we signed back in the summer. But the fact that these two don't need to be registered means we can register everyone in our first team squad in our Champions League squad, and next season they'll also become homegrown at club players along with Harley, and we should be at the point where the next youngster might be ready to come through, or someone like Grimmer, who we've sent out on loan, or Fairhurst, who we've sent out on loan, might be ready to come and be a proper part of the squad and make it 4 or 5 homegrown at club players. And you only need 4. So that's lovely stuff. Get them registered. The whole first team squad is registered. There's your confirmation. The transfer window has passed. And the only additional business we did, if we head back up to transfer history, we didn't bring anybody else in, but like I say, we did let some of the youngsters go out on loans. Grimmer's gone to West Ham, Fairhurst has gone to Mainz, Mike Kemmerer, who's a young left back with loads of I think he's a left back, young left back with loads of potential. He's only 19. He's gone to Aston Villa to play in the Championship for the season. We've got and obviously he'll be homegrown at club as well because he came through. So that's 3 youngsters we're keeping an eye on for potential future Champions League squads. And on the topic of the Champions League, I think we'll show you that Frankfurt game is our first game in the Champions League in the entire series. Our league season has started okay. We're kind of grinding out results without really playing very well. Our first big test comes when we face Manchester City again. But yeah, we'll worry about that in the next episode. And here we are for our first ever game in the Champions League in this year's non-Leeds legend. And Mr. Tickle is there on the bench. Look at him. Mr. Tickle in the Champions League. Who'd have thought? So our 11 is Restes in goal, a back four of Londo, Castro, Roivers and Angeli, and Zita and Nielsen in midfield, Fur on the left, McAdams on the right, Harley and Elatzi up front. Rob Harley, by the way, for the Rob Harley Not a Fan Club. He's had a really quite impressive start to the season. I said we were labouring to results. The one guy who isn't is Rob Harley, our captain, he's dragged us over the finish line a couple of times now. So he's playing well, even if those around him maybe aren't yet. McRobbie got back in the team, had a good performance, got injured again. I think he is fit to be on the bench today. He is, but he's been a little bit in and out of the team, which means Fur has played quite a lot. I'm not completely convinced by him yet. It might be that McRobbie comes back in and we'll start becoming a little bit more fluent in the attack again, like we were last season. The other thing to bear in mind, of course, is we did lose our assistant manager. I mentioned it at the end of the last episode. So we do have a new assistant manager. So some stuff that they take care of, like training, for example, is going to be ever so slightly different. And opposition instructions are set by the assistant manager. So I don't know if that's making a significant difference to how some of them are playing. But that is a jolly nice start to life in the Champions League. Fur gets our first goal of the entire series in the Champions League, less than a minute in. And I mean, it's a weird cross that everybody leaves apart from Fur, who just absolutely wallops it to put us 1-0 up. And do we get the league table? Are we top of the Champions League yet? Oh no, because everyone else played last night, I think. So I think this is Wednesday. and everyone else played, or half the matches were on Tuesday. You know how the Champions League works, probably. I think it'd be really unusual for someone to be watching this video who doesn't know how the Champions League works. In fact, while I'm talking about watching channels, one thing to mention to you, a little bit of cross promotion for my other channel. I've got this very shiny new Lego set. It's a nearly 3,000 piece scale replica of the actual World Cup. I'm going to be building this on my Lego channel, Block Party, tonight, live on stream. And Jelly's just done a football goal. We kick off at 7 o'clock, and we're going to try and build the whole thing over the course of the stream. So if you want to see me building a trophy that's going to be a big part of the Football Manager content going forward, if they ever add international football to FM26 like they promised, obviously you'll see me wave this around at some point, and hopefully first of many actual trophies, so I can stop having to make a specific custom one every single time we win something, because it's a lot of work doing all those replica custom trophies that I do. So come along, hang out with me. The link is on one of the card things on screen now. But I mean, you can type Block Party in. It's not that hard. It's me. I just don't wear a suit. So that might throw some of you, but you might be okay. So we're 2-0 up. Fur goes past his man, drives it across goal. And I tell you what, I started the episode saying McRobbie might be forcing his way back into the team. The two wingers, I think, have heard me, because between McAdams and Fur, they've spent the first half hour absolutely ripping this team apart. That is a back-heeled own goal, which is a sight to behold. I don't know that playing a flat back seven against these two guys is necessarily the wisest thing that Frankfurt have ever done, because it is Frankfurt, isn't it? Yeah, Eintracht Frankfurt. I don't know the German abbreviations. Obviously, SGE is short for Frankfurt. But yeah, the wingers are ripping them apart, which is lovely. And if they look after the wingers properly, then we've got Harley who can rip them apart. There's an example of that happening. Oh, that's beautiful. And there's Nielsen, and that's 4-0. Blackburn have arrived in the Champions League, boys and girls, and we've arrived in the Champions League in the same way we departed from the Conference League at the end of last season, putting 4 goals past German opposition, because we are very, very good at football. This is nice to see. The Monday's episode is going to be a little bit more challenging. We've got Man City in the league, who, of course, have just walloped us in the Community Shield, but we'll have our first team against them next time. But we've also, I think our next Champions League game is Paris Saint-Germain. So Paris Saint-Germain and Man City feels like a nice little double header after, like I say, an iffy start to the season, although we've won every game. This is the first time we've played really well. I think the new boys, the new left-hand side might finally be gelling. Both Fer and Londo playing well today. And yeah, it'll be interesting to see how we get on against two of the biggest teams in Europe in competitions that we'd like to win this season. I mean, it probably is a long shot trying to win the Champions League first time of asking. And it will mean I have to come up with a new series idea, which is going to be a challenge. Harley's in! Oh, that's a big miss from Harley. It was an absolute gift for him as well. When he made it, I mean, the fourth goal, he took such a great shot from such an obscure angle and made it look so good. That sums Rob Harley up, his performance in the last 15 minutes of this match. He does the complicated things so well, and the easy things he regularly messes up. And we need to, I mean, I've not opened the training tab since about 1996. Is there a tab where I can just train basic fundamentals? I want to put that guy on basic fundamentals. He's got all of the flair. He's got all of the skill. He's got all of the tricks. I just want him to spend an hour a day after training, passing to people 3 yards away from him and finishing crosses and half chances and little snatch things like striker football. As you saw there, his link-up play, absolutely lovely. But I want him to start scoring half chances. And see, again, beautiful link-up play from Harley. But then he'll get a chance and miss it. Is it composure? Can you train composure? I don't know, but I think if he adds that to his game, he finally gets into the England squad, because I am starting to worry that maybe he's not going to be the elite level player we thought he was going to be when he first burst onto the scene at Wigan. which would be a little bit of a shame. McRobbie comes on. We're also going to bring on Gurgle at right back because why not? It's the opportunity to get him on, and Kelly can come on as well. Ilatsi has had a slow start to the season, so that's the one slight worry. He was one of our most important players last year, was right up there with Harley as I think they've finished joint top scorers. Although most of Ilatsi's goals were in the Conference League rather than in the Premier League. So maybe it's that he's not quite ready for the real top level yet, as he showed in the Premier League last year and might show in the Champions League this year. Another reason why bringing in Kelly was so important. But we did turn down some big offers for Ilatsi in the summer. And there is a little bit of a worry that his head might have been turned a little bit. We had it with Castro on deadline day. Spurs came in and made an offer for Castro and he said he wanted to go. And we had to give him a big pay rise to convince him to stay. We did convince him to stay. It wasn't that hard in the end. Right, final change. Landu is going to come on for Nzita. We've also got Hincapié on as well, who I know I originally signed Londo to compete with him. I'm comfortable saying Londo's probably our first choice left back this season. And Hincapié at 35, this is probably his last contract he's getting out of me. And I imagine he'll retire at the end of the season. He'll probably have announced by Christmas that he's retiring at the end of the season because he's lost his place. And that's fine. We will have got out of him what we needed to get out of him. He was instrumental in us winning the Premier League and certainly filled a gap that had been a problem for us for a while we found somebody to more permanently fill the gap. So definitely opened my eyes to the possibility of bringing in an old guy for a year or two if we're struggling to bring in a youngster. It's maybe something for us to look at in January for that central midfield position where we still probably need an extra little bit of quality alongside Nielsen. I like Nzita, I like Landu. I don't think either of them are ever going to be like elite level players. So maybe we find an elite guy on the way down who can give us 18 months, a year as a starter, last 6 months rotated out for a wonder kid. That might be the play. We'll call it the Hincapié process because he has made it possible. He's opened my eyes to the pleasures of old men. Something you lot have been aware of for a long time, presumably. Right, we've only got one game before the next episode because I do think we need to do PSG and Man City because that's going to give us a real idea of where we actually stand this season because I think this is a fairly false position at the moment because of who we've played and how we've struggled to beat them. We've not won a match by more than a goal and we've not played against anybody good yet. We've beaten Brentford, Spurs, Everton and Brighton all by just one goal. I suspect we've had a nice little start to the season and it might start getting a little bit more complicated, but we'll worry about that on Monday. Hopefully I'll see some of you over on the stream tonight. But in the meantime, if you've enjoyed that video, please make sure you leave a nice big thumbs up on there for me. Subscribe to the channel for loads more Football Manager bits and bobs. I can't really say daily content on a Friday, can I? Because you know you're not getting any over the weekend. It's week daily. Is week daily a thing? And thank you very much for watching.